Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kaylee Gonzalez. I'm an applications expert with MLC CAD Systems, and I'm going to be hosting your SOLIDWORKS Inspection webinar this afternoon. So before we jump right into the software, I do want to cover a little bit about SOLIDWORKS Inspection. So what exactly is SOLIDWORKS Inspection? The idea of this product is we're going to streamline the creation of first article inspection reports. This product will also allow you to balloon and prepare drawings for inspection. The software does come with default templates that conform to the AS9102 and ISO 13485 standards. We'll see direct report output to Microsoft Excel, and we'll also talk about some input measurement data options. So the idea of this product is document creation. Inside of the SOLIDWORKS portfolio of products, inspection does actually fall under technical communication software. So we are going to be creating forms and documentation with inspection, and we'll show you how we can do that. The way that the inspection product is packaged is a little bit different than a lot of the other add-ins that SOLIDWORKS offers. The reason for that is it comes with both an add-in and a standalone product within a single seat. So the add-in is going to work inside of your SOLIDWORKS software, and it's going to use SOLIDWORKS drawing files, those native SOLIDWORKS files. The standalone product is a little bit different in that it does not need SOLIDWORKS CAD to be installed. It's going to be using PDF and TIFF files. Inside of the higher-end professional package, there are additional options where you can enter measured data and also have direct CMM importation and use digital calipers as well. We'll take a look at those toward the end of the presentation. Now, the challenges that this software is going to solve is the inconsistency in a lot of inspection documents. We see a lot of people where they create these documents manually, and it creates some inconsistencies, some errors. This product will help address that. Your documents are going to be much clearer, as are your reports. Overall, you're going to save time creating first article inspection reports. We'll streamline some of these revision changes, and then the ability to use the PDFs and the TIFFs are going to allow you to use some legacy drawings. So what I'm going to show is I'm going to go through the add-in, I'm going to go through the standalone product, and then we're going to take a look at some of the measurement input options that inspection has to offer. So within the add-in, we're going to take a look at project creation, adding balloons to a drawing, and then also some of the output documentation. When I open up SOLIDWORKS, I have just a regular part drawing already set up for me. So inspection is just an add-in. If you would go into your add-ins dialog box, you'll see a line item for it here. That's simply how you can turn it on and off. You'll see a tab inside of your drawing environment called SOLIDWORKS Inspection. Now, when I want to create a brand new project, I can click on New Project, and again, I'm going to be prompted for a template. This is going to choose just some generic settings. I have a template, SOLIDWORKS 2017, that I'm going to use. We're immediately asked for some additional properties, such as your part name, part number. Now, all of this information can be pulled directly from your custom properties. Just a double click, and we can start pulling in a lot of this information. Now, the benefit of doing this is, again, this is not manual. You're pulling from digital content. You're keeping everything very accurate. There's not going to be any mistyping or anything of that nature going on through this process. I can choose a different vendor. Now, this is just the standard list. You can certainly go into Edit Vendors to add to that list as well. Under the characteristic information, this is how we can specify what we want our inspection balloons to really look like and how they're going to balloon. We're going to start with the number 1. Our sort order is going to be clockwise. The classification, this is a global classification. So the default is incidental. We might want to change it to minor. If it's incidental, we may not be measuring it. but we can always go back and change it to critical or major once it's been ballooned. The extraction process can be either automatic or manual. I'm going to start with the automatic process to show you what that looks like, and then I'll also show you the manual because that's something that's relatively new in 2017. And then we can also go in and choose any of our sampling criteria. If I go through the wizard environment, I now have extraction settings. So this is information that inspection is going to pull and put inside of our report based on our ballooning. So we can choose different types of dimensions. We can include notes. We can include GD&T, hole callouts, welds, or surface finishes. I'm going to deselect some of those. The last screen is your ability to choose kind of your default tolerance setting. So I'm going to leave this by precision. What this is telling us is if I have something that is to 1 decimal place, a dimension to 1 decimal place, this will be plus or minus 0.03 millimeters unless otherwise specified. So from here I'll click OK. And I'll let SOLIDWORKS go ahead and balloon this drawing. So you can see that SOLIDWORKS went ahead and just ballooned everything that I told it to through my extraction settings, and it took a couple of seconds. Everything that was ballooned is going to be inside of your characteristic tree over here on the left-hand side. Now, when you do have a complicated drawing where there's a lot of dimensions on here, it can be somewhat cumbersome to try to figure out exactly where some of these items are. What you're going to notice is everything is going to be highlighted so we have a good visual indication of where these items are at. But I can also right-click and say Zoom to Selection. SOLIDWORKS will then take me wherever that dimension is and zoom in so I can get a good, clear picture of what I'm working on. When I do have anything selected in my characteristic tree, I have additional properties underneath that I can also specify. One is whether I want it to be ballooned or not. That's what this top section is indicating. This is also giving me my tolerance type. So you can see that this is pulling from the default precision that I specified. It's also calculating the upper and lower limits. I can type in comments. I can also include operations such as anodizing, bending, cutting, or I can choose an inspection method. Again, this information, anything you include in this properties, is going to be pushed into the output for your inspection report. So if I wanted to go ahead and export this to Excel, I'm just going to click Export to Excel. I'm going to add my template in here and click OK. So SOLIDWORKS took this information and pushed it into this Excel template spreadsheet. So this particular template is conforming to the AS9102 standard. That's why there are 3 forms here. All that's set up for you and ready to go. What we're looking at here, different characteristic designators, are nominal values, are units of measurement, and then the upper and lower limits. Once you are inside of Excel, you have the full functionality of Excel. You can add your results in. You can do any type of conditional formatting once this is in Excel. Now that we have our project started, if we wanted to make any changes to this project, how easy is that going to be to maintain all of these balloons? Well, let's take an example here. If I wanted to delete that dimension, maybe I don't need it for whatever reason, I can simply say Update Inspection Project. So what SOLIDWORKS did is it went through everything and detected any change. When something is deleted, it's going to show in this pink-red color. I can then right-click and say, I want to accept this annotation change. SOLIDWORKS will go through and re-balloon your entire drawing. Now, the idea of this is you're never going to miss a number. You're not going to go from 26 to 28. We'll see 27 has been compensated for. If I wanted to add a dimension in, add this overall. Go ahead and grab that side here. Again, whenever I add anything, I can say Update Inspection Project, and anything that's been added will show up in green. I can say I want to accept this change, and it will now be included in my inspection report. And from here on out, I can go ahead and re-export to Excel to compensate for those changes. As far as making changes to the balloons themselves and where these balloons are stored, we can take a look at the layer properties. So SOLIDWORKS Inspection is going to create its own unique layer and automatically place those balloons inside of that layer. This is going to create a great amount of flexibility when you're working in your drawings. The reason why is I can simply hide this layer, get rid of my balloons, and I can use the same drawing to export to my manufacturing team. I don't have to create two separate documents. I can also change the color. For example, maybe I want this to be blue instead of red. I can change that inside of the layers, does a global change, and we're ready to go. So that's going to offer a great amount of flexibility. Now, I showed you the automatic method of ballooning this. There does come into situations, especially with very complicated drawings, where maybe you don't need everything to be ballooned. So I'm going to show you the automatic method. I'm just going to start a new project. And instead of choosing this automatic, I'm going to choose this manual process. And I'll click OK. When I choose the manual process, SOLIDWORKS is waiting for us to add characteristics. So I can add individual characteristics. I can even do a box select to add multiple characteristics at a time. We'll see how those were added. Again, I can choose either entire views if you really wanted to, or just a selection of these items. It's going to maintain all of your ballooning, all of your referencing, simply by just dragging a box around these items. So once I have my project started, as I do here, I'm going to save this and export this to the SOLIDWORKS Standalone Inspection project. So I'll go ahead and save this, and we'll take a look at this in the standalone product. So inside of the add-in, we saw that the ballooning capability is very fast and very automatic. The environment itself is very familiar. You're working inside of SOLIDWORKS, and you can export directly to Excel and then have the full functionality of Excel. The next item we're going to take a look at is the standalone product. And inside of here, we are going to open up that project we just exported. I'm going to talk to you about the optical character recognition, and then also how we can make revision changes inside of the standalone product. So this is the landing platform of the standalone inspection project. I'm going to open up a new project here. And we'll see the item that we've selected, just our project. And excuse me for just a second, I believe I clicked on the wrong one. Let me go ahead and just open project 2, which is what I just exported. There we go. So inside of the standalone project, all the balloons from the add-in will be pulled over, as will all of the information. So if we look down in this table manager, we'll see this tab for bill of characteristics. Now, if you're familiar with the AS9102 form, this is going to correspond to Form 3, similar to what we saw in the add-in. all of the balloons, all of the subtypes, the units, the values, tolerancing is all going to be included and pulled into this file. All of our project properties are also going to be included here on the side. But now if we wanted to add any type of additional information to this, we can certainly do that inside of the standalone product. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And I'm going to use something called optical character recognition. I'm going to click on dimension, and I'm really going to just drag a box. If you can drag a text box, you can start ballooning your items. This is going to pull in whether it's a linear dimension, the unit, the quantity, the plus-minus tolerancing, as well as the upper and lower limits. We wanted to start adding some additional balloons. Again, we can just start dragging this. So the optical character recognition is almost like taking a picture of these items and pulling information from it. If I wanted to add any additional information, such as an operation, I can use these drop-down menus as well. So again, I could change the classification. Maybe this is critical. Maybe I want this to be a key dimension, or I can add any type of comments. We'll notice that SOLIDWORKS does detect the difference between the radius here and the diameter dimension down here at the bottom. And everything that we've been adding is populating under the bill of characteristics. Everything is populating there. SOLIDWORKS can do geometric tolerancing. Again, through the optical character recognition. It's a little bit different workflow, but it certainly can be done. If I select my GD&T, we'll see that under the bill of characteristics, it's saying, see the print for geometric tolerancing. Well, I want to actually see my datum reference frame inside of my form. So what I can do is simply recreate my datum reference frame. And again, keeping with the idea that we do not want to have to manually input this data, I can still use optical character recognition on these particular items. And then from here, add my A and B datums. So we can see that datum reference frame be pulled into our actual file and into the form that we'll export. So if I do go to export this, again, I can choose from a variety of templates. These all come standard, and you can customize them for sure. And I'll click Export. So you can see how this is going to export. Again, very similar, but slightly different, very similar to what we saw before. The requirements are there, units of measurement, your upper and lower limits are automatically being pulled in into your Form 3. Now, if we make any type of a change to this document, because we're not working inside of SOLIDWORKS, we don't have that associativity necessarily set up. How do we go about doing that type of a change? Inside of Inspection, there is a button or a function called Compare. What this allows me to do is to upload a revision PDF of the same file, and it superimposes these two on top of themselves. So the original items are going to be in red, and the new items are going to be in green. So what we're seeing here is there's been a change in this kind of middle area, and then these other items have been added as well. If I wanted to reject the replacement, I could do so. If I wanted to replace it, I could do so as well. I'll go ahead and click Replace. So what we see is all of our ballooned information, everything there is still intact. Nothing has changed. we want to take a look at some of these additional items, and we can certainly go through now and add any additional information that we wanted to. So that's a very streamlined way to upload any of those extra revisions. Your ballooning is going to stay completely intact during that process. So we saw the automatic data extraction. Even though we're working in a PDF, it's very fast, it's very simple. We're simply drawing boxes around items, and the revision changes are very easy. Instead of having to redo a bunch of work, start over from scratch, you can make use of the information that you've already pulled from your file and simply re-export that information. So the last section that I want to take a look at are measurement input options. So we're going to see some dimension color coding. I'll talk a little bit about digital calipers and Cmm import, and then the inspection output documents, again, are going to be a little bit different. Just to kind of go back to what I said earlier, just as a refresher, all of this measurement input information is going to be available to you inside the professional package. So if I wanted to insert any measurement data, there's a couple ways that I can do that. One way is through this measurement input drop box here. If I wanted to, I could simply type in a number. This is going to be color-coded based on pass-fail criteria. And if I go down a little bit further into this 35, maybe this 25 down here, I have 25.029. We'll see that that's going to actually show up yellow. That color coding will be present not only in this column, it's also going to be present up inside of the actual PDF document that you're working on. So again, if something was out of tolerance, again, it's going to show that color. Now, I know I only have a couple of dimensions here, but to show you what this is going to look like if I export, I'll go into my Excel sheet and export this additional information. So the color coding itself will also be included when you export to Excel, when you have that measurement data in there. The results will be included, as will all of the color coding. So it's going to keep everything very consistent between your PDF, between your results, and between your form. Now, if you do make use of digital calipers, calipers that can be plugged into a computer with a USB, can also automatically populate these columns. Simply plug in your USB for your digital calipers, and whenever you have a dimension, you can click the input button, and this will start populating from your digital calipers. So again, that's a second use of this measurement input. You can have as many rows here as you need. There's no real limit to that, and so what happens is you can actually start maintaining a lot of your files, even some historical data, inside of a digitized environment. Now, we talked about the measurement input. We also talked about briefly the digital calipers. I'm going to show you the Cmm Data Import. If you use something like a CMM or even a ferro arm, something along those lines, you can make use of that data. So if I go into my Cmm Data Import, let me just click on Settings to show you the different templates. There are quite a few of them. Anything from Calypso, the ferro arms are here, GeoMeasure, some of the OGP Smart Scopes, as a TCDMIS. So if you see something in here that you use, that's awesome. If you didn't see something in that list that I showed you briefly, we can always ask SOLIDWORKS to add that information in. So I'm going to choose what type of file. This is going to be TCDMIS, and I'm going to say I'm going to add some files here. Now I can add one or multiple files at a time. I'm going to say Open. From here, I can go into an auto assign. This is going to give me some filters to assign what I've ballooned to my CMM data file. Let me make sure. Come in here and try this one more time. And we can see that the items that I had inside of my CMM file have been pulled in. Now, bear in mind the CMM file that I'm using, it's just an example file. It's something I actually created. It doesn't have all of these dimensions in it. So if it looks like it didn't match a whole lot, there's just not a whole lot inside of that file. But what it did match, it will show up in color coding. Now, whatever I have specified here is going to change color based on the actual column I have selected. So if something is out of tolerance in one, it'll show up red. You can see how those colors switch. And again, if I go into export this, we'll actually see how SOLIDWORKS will export multiple columns at a time as well. We can see that color coding and that those 3 additional columns were added. So inside of the measurement input, there is visual pass-fail criteria. You'll see it in yellow, you'll see it in green, and in red. There is digital measurement integration, whether you use a CMM, FarrowArm, digital calipers. This software in the professional package will support that. And of course, you can make use of this data for future use. You're saving everything in a digitized environment, which means it's going to be very simple for you to go back and view previous results. So today we covered the add-in for SOLIDWORKS Inspection, where we saw a lot of the fast automatic ballooning, the familiar SOLIDWORKS environment, and the first introduction into the export to Excel. We then took a look at the standalone product and took a look at the automatic data extraction, the optical character recognition, and we saw how the revision changes were made very easily. The measurement input options that we took a look at, showing us how we can incorporate our digital measurements into SOLIDWORKS Inspection, give us a visual pass-fail, and allow us to use that data for future use just in a digitized environment. So from here, you saw that I exported maybe 5, 6 documents, a very short amount of time. The documentation is going to be consistent. You are going to see some time savings using this product. Your accuracy is going to be there as well, as the product is designed to eliminate that manual entry. And then, of course, everything is being saved inside of that digital format.